Greetings, dear star sisters. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. My partner steps away. Many of you are aware in this short message that this is the first message of 2018 for the sisterhood. And you might say, what would be different this time? For many times you would have a demarcation point as the calendar turns over for you. And the first of any year, you would say, what's new? What's different? What's next? And you'd be right. We have spent many channelings giving you information we wanted you to know. And although all of you have not heard them, it might be wise to, for it fills in the cracks about what you did, what it's all about, and what the sisterhood core really comes from. A time in that Akashic launching pad through many generations, where you had the original teachings from what we would call the Star Mothers. We covered some of those original teachings while we were in Lemuria, when I sat in a chair with my partner, very, very recently. These core teachings are not necessarily the ones that you are to study. What you are to study next is the sacredness of you. For it is time now to temper the history, which has been told now for almost 50 channels, and go next to that which is next for you. Question asked by Melly Haw right from this stage a moment ago. Why are you here? What is it that you feel would ring with this? It goes beyond the gender wanting to get together. This is typical and would be normal. And it's especially normal for your gender to be together and have a camaraderie of your gender. But it is not that at all. It goes beyond that. And so the question really becomes, is it different now than before? In some way of remembrance. What is it that is triggering a desire to know more about this? Lemuria was not called Lemuria. It was called something completely different in a language you don't have. So it wasn't the name Lemuria. It's something greater. So let's go to a premise that has been started just recently in my channeling, that you have a multi-dimensional set of chromosomes, which is the 24th pair. The numerology on 24 is 6. That is harmony, communications, in that which is Tibetan numerology. So let's look at that for a moment. If that is becoming activated, if you want to use that word, 2018, the beginning of a new year, one where your DNA is starting to vibrate differently, because it is responding to a new magnetics, as we have said. And what is different is that which is multidimensional within your DNA is starting to come forward more than it has before. What's in that layer, that pair of chromosomes? I'll tell you, anything that is multidimensional comes with it something which is spiritual. And that is because the spiritual part of you is multidimensional. Let us summarize this as we go forward. What is starting to happen is you are starting to react. React to issues, words, concepts, and paradigms that were the original ones in the sisterhood. And as you see the ideas presented that maybe you really were the ones to accept the first teachings, passing it along to your children, and then later in another incarnation to those around you, and it rings true. It rings true. You're the message bearers of the generations even to follow that which was the sisterhood. The year 2018 is an illumination year. What is it that you would like to illuminate right now? Beyond the fact that the society of Lemuria carried this attribute or this attribute, what is it for you? We return. It's the sacredness you carry in the teaching that was original. So how is it that you might use this little bit of information right now and today, tonight, maybe even beyond? And so I say this to you. It's the illumination of your sacredness that's going to take you to the next step. For you're not going to be able to teach anything that you even begin to remember before you accept the sacredness within yourself. So the next step is the biggest one on this planet that has ever been asked to do. Drop lack of self-worth. It's got to be the women first. It has to be. Old souls, listen. This is what you have carried so long that stops you from seeing who you are. The self-worth that you have is low. We've discussed why. It's not the time, but it's low and you know it's low. Why me is common. Why now is common. Why can't I get ahead is common. Do you think that is going to be a reflection of your majesty as that which is the teaching from the sisterhood? And it's not. It's time to illuminate what is there. And that's going to wipe away the lack of self-worth. You cannot teach anyone. You can't teach your neighbor or your children unless there is a purity of belief that what you're teaching is real. So you're about to start a process, and channelings to come, in ceremonies to come, that continue to illuminate and reveal what is there and chase away what doesn't belong there. It's the beginning of an illumination of your sacredness, the sacredness that comes right out of the purity of being taught from the original Star Mothers. It's still in your library. And in this library that you have, that you're walking around with, is such a beauty and purity. And it's covered up so often with the past that doesn't belong there. Let this year of illumination be where all of this starts to begin, where you carry what you are into what is going to be. That's what the sisterhood is about this year. So you're going to have channels from me that are fewer channels about what was and more channels about what can be, from that which you call the sacredness of the sisterhood. Let the ceremonies begin. And so it is.